Good morning everybody, Cam Bike here again, back on the bike. I've not been on the bike for a week, maybe more than a week. It's just been miserable, just raining every day, there's a lot of flooding, it's been icy, we've even had a little bit of snow, gale force winds, it's just been awful. So it's meant I've been concentrating on the Batcave project rather than getting it on the bike. But now, finally, we've got a day where it's not chucking it down. It is windy. They said that it was going to be 70 miles an hour winds today, but it's not started yet. I'm not doubting it's coming because the winds are pretty strong, but it's not here yet, so I'm making the most of it. So rather than carrying on with the Batcave, I'm going to burn some petrol. Do my bit for global warming, see if we can't make it a little bit warmer around here. Get some of this petrol burned. I was watching a video the other day about electric bikes that Peter Long sent me to. It's quite interesting. And it was presented by Robert Llewellyn, who's the guy who played first. Very well done, thank you. Whoa, you idiot! Blimey neck. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Anyway, yeah, Robert Llewellyn. So he's the guy who played Crichton in Red Dwarf in the UK. I don't know if they ever made the American version. I know they were talking about doing an American version of Red Dwarf. But I'm not sure that they actually ever did. Maybe somebody can tell me. Anyway, I was watching a few of his videos, and there's one about electric motorbikes. Now, because I have got at least one environmental bone in my body, I was quite interested by the idea of an electric motorbike. I thought, yeah, I can see some benefits, some drawbacks. Clearly, if you're powering an electric bike, and you're plugging it in at home and powering it off the grid, where the electricity is all being generated by gas and oil and coal and what have you, it's not particularly green. Although, you know, over time that mix is going to change, that mix of where we get our fuels from. Try and find my gear. And you know, so that could become greener over time. But it seemed like, you know, electricity is quite a good power source. You know, the electric motors in theory last a lot longer than engines do and require a lot less maintenance. But I was watching this video, and I think it was the Zero motorcycle. Might not have been, might have been some other one, and obviously the guy that got on is a bit of a marketing guy. And they talked about the plus points of the environment, but they didn't talk about any of the negatives. And I worry about the negatives, because the negatives are things like range, and a lot of these electric bikes and cars don't give enough range to make them suitable to be your only vehicle. I know BMW are doing an electric one now where they basically accept that and they'll lend you a petrol powered car if you want to do any distance. That's quite an interesting way of getting around the problem. But the electric one, for me, it sounded like quite a nice idea as a commuter bike, but the ranges do seem to let it down. So when they're saying that, you know, you can get 75-80 miles out of a charge, I only go into the office once a week, but as a round trip, once you've added in all of the extra riding I do because I enjoy the riding, I can easily do 70 or 80 miles just getting to work and back. And if I don't have the option to charge it while I'm there, and charging takes all day, then that's not such a good thing. And then I do wonder about the fact that they're really quiet, because you do kind of, you know, you're hard enough to be seen, as Mr. B would say, ride invisible. It's hard enough to be seen as it is, and if you're not being heard either, you know, there's none of this idea of loud pipes save lives. I don't know how accurate that is, but there's none of that on an electric bike unless they put a speaker in and maybe make it play the noise. You can make it play green sleeves. You can pretend you were an ambulance. Ambulance. That's right, my American friends. Ambulances in the UK play green sleeves. I meant an ice cream man. I'm too excited about being back on the bike. Anyway, but yeah, the biggest problem I had with that video, which wasn't the one Peter sent me to, was they started telling you the bad points about petrol-powered bikes, rather than trying to say electric ones are better. They tried to come up with some ideas why petrol ones were worse. And some of the stuff they were coming up with was quite bizarre. So they were saying, well, you know, petrol bikes have to be serviced and maintained. Well, yeah, of course they do. And although electric motors don't need the same kind of maintenance as, you know, an engine, a petrol-powered engine, one would hope that people aren't going to buy an electric bike and then never have it, maybe not serviced, but at least checked. Because there are a lot of people who are buying commuter bikes who aren't doing the checks every day before they go riding. So, and they're certainly going to need maintenance. You know, they've still got bearings, they've still got things that will degrade over time. They've still got chains, presume. I don't know if they have chains or shaft drives maybe, but they've still got things that need maintaining. But then the one that really got me amazed was, he says, well, the electric bike, the battery, because obviously people are worried about the length of time the battery lasts, the battery will last the life of the bike, and the life of the bike is 150,000 miles. Well, that's pretty good. He says, and you compare that to a petrol bike after 30,000 miles is basically dead. What? What? 30,000 miles and your bike's dead? Come off it. There are bikes with a heck of a lot more than 30,000 miles on them. If my bike lasts only 30,000 miles, I'm going to be replacing it every 2 years. Anyway, I thought, no, it's an interesting topic, the whole electric vehicle thing. I think for certain rides, certain drives, if you get an electric car, they're probably a really good idea, especially as the technology for producing electricity changes over time. Although of course at the minute everything's about oil and coal and fracking nowadays, but you know, there's going to be more of the wind power and solar power and things, so you know, you could get clean bicycles, clean motorbikes, clean cars. And when I say clean, I'm not necessarily thinking about CO2 and global warming, but thinking more that as an asthmatic, I know that certain places, if you go into central London, even if you go into central Hull, the amount of diesel smoke and what have you can easily set off an asthma attack. So, you know, I quite like the idea of them, and I suspect that in reality what we'll end up with is probably people with an electric vehicle and a petrol backup, or maybe like BMW do, in some way of having a backup that allows you to share a vehicle. You know, maybe everybody down the street has an electric car and there's a couple of petrol motorbikes for people to play on when they need to go a bit further. It's a bit of a shame though if we can't get to the point where you can go out and have a you know, 500-mile blast. Not that I do that a great deal, but you know, knowing that I can is good. Anyway, what do you think? What do you think about electric vehicles? Are they the future, or are they a folly that's never going to take off? Are we all going to end up with hydrogen power? Which is interesting as it drips water on nice cold winter's days and leaves a nice icy patch behind it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, people. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Now I'm going to go and ride some more.